YouTube, Professor Kadra here. This is Pipes 102 Pipe Shapes. So, one of the first things people notice when they start getting into pipe smoking is just how many different pipe shapes exist. You know, you have the classic one that you picture in your head, that's called a billiard. Probably we'll get more into the specific shapes, but there's all kinds of different shapes that you could take. Some are subtle variations, some are dramatically different. Over time, certain shapes became classics in the hobby. Shape can affect a lot of things: comfort, balance, weight distribution, smoking posture. It's going to affect your smoking characteristics. It's not just aesthetics, but a lot of the shape differences are aesthetics and
the aesthetics
preference.
are important. Right? Like we've been talking recently about how our aesthetic tastes have changed over the course of years. But go on.
The aesthetics are an important part of it. So this course is about learning what those pipe shapes are, so that you can make informed decisions when you're shopping for a pipe, or just have a better knowledge. I mentioned a billiard. That's probably the most classic pipe shape. It's a straight shank. If I may, this is a billiard shape. You have a straight shank, more or less. This one's a little bit canted,
curved
a little
upwards,
bit.
Yeah.
Cylindrical bowl. It's simple, balanced, extremely common.
I know we're going to talk about this later, but is this like a billiard but bigger and with a longer stem, essentially?
Yes. Yep.
It's like this kind of shape.
Yep. And when people picture a pipe, they're often imagining a billiard. That's kind of like your standard jumping off point, from which all the various shapes would eventually be based on. That particular billiard, the cob there was bent a little bit. Bent pipes curved down through the shank and the stem. You can see an example of that here.
Yeah, the Sherlock Holmesy kind of,
Yeah, interesting about that. Sherlock Holmes did not smoke that kind of a pipe. That became associated with him through stage representations.
Gotcha,
using a pipe like that, and that's why that shape became associated with Sherlock Holmes.
Okay.
But I think it was deer stalker, I think, is the type of pipe that he smoked, not the calabash.
Okay. And what shape? Do we know what shape it was? Like what?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think, but probably very close to a billiard.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So the bends, it's not just what it looks that actually does affect things. It helps how it affects how it hangs in the mouth and shifts the weight balance a little bit, and it can hang more comfortably if you're going to clench. So if you're going to be clenching your pipe, the more bent it is, the more comfortable it's going to be there. So you'll see half bends, quarter bends, full bends, all manner of bend levels. There's the apple and author shapes. This is an author shape. You can see that there. It's very stout in the bowl. They tend to feel comfortable in the hand. You picked this up earlier.
I was going to say, I've never felt one before. I've seen them, and I'm like, oh, that actually feels really nice. It's bigger in the hand, It's like you said, it's very comfortable, especially rusticated like this. It feels super nice.
They often have a stout, muscular appearance. The authors are wider and more squat than the apple, but the apple is kind of like a billiard with a more rounded, softer bowl.
Is this is kind of between a billiard and an apple, would you say, or it's?
That's more of a billiard.
More of a billiard, right?
It would be a rounder.
It's
even.
more shaped like a sphere almost.
Yeah, more spherical almost. Yes. Another type of shape you have is the bulldog or the Rhodesian. That's the pipes that kind of look like this. You'll notice that it's got these two little beads in there. That's a distinct.
Would a Rhodesian just be a longer bulldog? Is a bulldog just a short?
It's a great question. So if you'll notice, the shank here is a diamond. Rhodesian, and now this is kind of a debated topic. Generally speaking, though, the Rhodesian would be the round-shanked version of the bulldog.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily longer.
Right.
The length
it's the shank.
it could be pretty stout or pretty long.
Okay.
Whether it's round or diamond,
Gotcha.
That makes it a Rhodesian. But I think people, particularly fans of
the shank being this part
both,
here, right? With
that part is the shank,
as opposed to the stem.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the bulldog and the Rhodesian. The Dublin looks like this. It flares, so you can see it flares outward as it goes up, and the bowl is also conical. It's not just.
Oh, okay.
With the Dublin, the bowl is also narrower at the bottom. some smokers believe that it subtly affects the smoking progression, sort of like how a differently shaped cigar.
Yeah, does it
might affect how
concentrate it more towards the bottom like a cigar would in that
like,
shape?
yeah, like something like that would be like what that's at least what the people who say
Right.
about it.
That's the claim. Yep.
That's the claim. Yeah. I don't have an example here. There's the pot and the poker. It's just, this is kind of a little bit like a pot. You can see it's got a pretty thick kind of a bowl rather than
Right.
a more thin one you might expect of a billiard. Pokers are smaller. They rest.
The
on
pots
the
that I've
table.
seen, they tend to be more wide than tall, right? Is that the case, or am I making that up? Almost like the altar, or like what's in your hand.
They'll look that way. I don't know if there's a hard and fast
Right,
rule about it that it has to be, but they will look.
But are they wider in general? I think you mentioned
are.
like a pot
They
for
are.
like blend of different type of tobaccos.
Yeah, they're a great choice. So one of the things that shape affects, or that where shape is a consideration, is the type of blend that you're smoking. And what I was talking about there was a pot. It has a nice wide bowl. So if you have a blend with a lot of components in it, it'll allow for more of those components to be burning at a given time, letting you get the maximum flavor.
And then you said something about the Virginias being in a like taller, like a stove looking type of bowl. And the purpose of that was what again?
To help it burn cooler. The Virginia has a naturally higher sugar content, and that burns at a higher temperature. So with a narrower bowl, you have less leaf burning at a given time, so you have a lower temperature. And you don't necessarily need to have more leaf burning because the Virginia is...
It's tobacco.
It's the highlight of the
Yep.
blend. It's all there. You
No,
brought this one up
Virginia.
before. This one here is called a Canadian. It's a billiard, but with a longer shank.
Yep.
This Canadian in particular, this shank is oval shaped. There's Lumbermans, Liverpools, Lovats, depending on whether there's a tapered or a saddle stem, depending on whether the shank is diamond or round. That'll determine which of those.
Do you remember which
Shapes it
ones
is.
are which again? Because I always
Yep.
I forget them.
Yeah, so Canadian is this here. It's the diamond shank, or oval shank rather.
Oval shank, sorry.
And a saddle stem. I'm sorry, tapered stem.
Taper stem.
just
Okay,
like
yeah,
those.
just like yeah.
If it had a saddle stem, that would be what's called a lumberman.
Is this a saddled stem right here? Like
That's
this?
a saddle stem. That is a saddle stem with a round shank, so that's a Lovat.
Right.
And if this had a saddle stem with a
Tapered. No,
with the tapered, with the tapered. If this had the round shank with the tapered stem, that would be a Liverpool. Would be the
Okay.
name of that one. These shapes are often, they kind of look more elegant. And I prefer the Lovat shape. They offer a slightly cooler.
I like
smoke.
the name Lumberman, but I'm like I like the look of Lovat better. I wish a Lumberman was named a Lovat or whatever. I wish they would switch names
Sure.
so I could like the Lumberman most.
So that could be your favorite shape.
Yeah, that's just how I feel.
Yeah. Another one is a church warden. I say as I pick up this very much non-church warden pipe. Those are the really long, dramatic pipes that you see.
The Gandalf pipes.
The Gandalf pipes, yes. They're often associated with reading, relaxed smoking, fantasy,
Yep.
and a cooler smoke due to the stem length. I talked about how the Canadian family offers a slightly cooler smoke because it has that slightly longer shank.
And that does make a difference.
That does make a
That-
difference. That's why I like the Lovat.
Yeah.
I prefer the round shank and the saddle stem. So like those are the features that I like. But I like as long a shank as I can get on my pipes, generally speaking. But church wardens,
How'd you
while they're
smoke that?
yeah, while they're cooler, they can be more fragile. Because they have a long, thin stem, and they're certainly less portable. Then you got freehand and artisan shapes. All right, some pipes don't follow the strict classical shape convention. This is a shape called the Eskimo. It's it's a named shape, but it's one of the less commonly seen shapes there. Really emphasizes the grain. It has a really nice wide surface to demonstrate the grain there. So like your freehand artisan pipes are gonna.
Is that your newest pipe?
Yeah. This was the pickup from the Chicago Pipe Show. von Quedlinburg. If I don't know exactly how you say it, but
Yeah.
giving it my best shot. Sometimes they'll focus on asymmetry. Like we saw a lot of funky pipes. We
Yep.
saw like that one that looked like a dolphin.
Yep. There's a lot of really cool stuff.
Really, really
The-
cool
the,
stuff. If you have a chance to get to a pipe show,
Yeah.
go.
And like I said early in one of the other videos, like I'm not as much of a collector as Rob, and I try to keep things a little more practical. But I was enamored by how amazing all these the creativity is. There's different colors, all kinds of things I didn't think were even possible. Like in terms of like you think of a pipe shape, you've seen a bunch of these normal ones. There's some really cool stuff
There's
out
the
there.
ones that you see online, the major pipe retailers, but then the artisan pipes, if they don't have their own online presence,
Yep.
you're not seeing them outside of a
And
pipe shop.
one quick comment too I noticed is I've looked at a lot of pipes online before when I was interested in the hobby, and I'm always looking what would I like to get, but seeing them in person, at a pipe show, or if you know someone, or go to a tobacco shop, see if they have pipes, just seeing them and feeling them in your hand, it's very different than what you'd expect. You might think you really like something, and then you see it in person, or you think you didn't like something, you see it in person, like, oh, this is actually really cool. It's hard to really judge the size of a pipe, and that plays a big factor into how you perceive the shape.
Definitely, I've definitely been shocked when a pipe that I've ordered has arrived and it didn't quite meet
What you expected,
my expectations, and not necessarily disappointed, but like, whoa, this was
not what you thought. Yep.
different than what I was going for. One thing that is important to understand about the shape preference I want to talk about is that it's very personal, and there's a lot of variability. Some smokers prefer compact pipes, some like large bowls, some want lightweight clinchers, some want dramatic, like showpieces. But there's not a best shape. Part of it is learning what feels good in your hand, mouth, your smoking routine, and just generally what your preferences are.
I was just gonna say, I'm looking at this author right now, and I'm assuming it's, I don't know, you associate it with, I guess, an author writing a book or whatever, but some of these pipes, like this, for example, if you put it down on a table, it's gonna fall down. You need they make little pipe stands that you can put it on, but I realized we didn't really talk about the poker, did we?
We unfortunately I don't have an example, so we didn't talk about it too much.
Yeah. But the poker, I think, is one of your other traditional pipe shapes, and I remember reading at one point myself that when people played poker, they needed something they had a flat bottom so they could put it down, and that's kind of when I saw the author and I realized it had the kind of flat bottom and it holds itself up. It's a consideration as well. If you don't want to have, if you're going to be sitting at a table and you don't want to hold it the whole time.
Poker's an excellent desk pipe.
Yeah.
Excellent desk pipe. It's designed to be able to be put down on a table like that.
And I remember when I first started getting into pipes, and I thought, well, what shape do I want to buy? The first pipe I buy, I didn't really consider any of those practical stuff. But then once you smoke it a few times, and the reality of actually having to live with the pipe is a thing, something like that all of a sudden becomes more appealing. I was just thinking about the aesthetics of the shape.
Yeah.
And actually, that matters.
It probably only really matters a ton for like your first pipe, where that might be something special to you.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is the first pipe I ever bought. Where it might have some kind of extra sentimental value. Beyond that, I mean, your taste could very much change. Some of the pipes that I was absolutely enamored with early on, they don't really tickle me the same.
Yep.
For instance, I really like this shape, but when I first started getting into pipes, I wanted nothing to do with any kind of wide shanked pipe.
Yep.
The more elegant, the better is where kind of like my mindset was. And while I still really like an elegant looking pipe, I really like these broad ones, and not that they're inelegant.
Well, I think it's like a lot of things too. Like you when you're around something a lot, you get exposed to it, and it becomes normalized, and then you kind of need a little more something interesting, something different, and that's kind of exactly how I felt when I got my first pipe. I think I was interested in like a bent billiard, because to me that just looked like the quintessential pipe, which was probably because I had the Sherlock Holmes imagery in my mind of that sort of bent shape, and the billiard was like, I wanted something that looked normal because I was attracted to pipes. But then once you start smoking a pipe and you enjoy the hobby itself, you don't necessarily want to like be normal. You just want to explore, and find something you like.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Thanks for watching.